Now, I know that it's become begrudgingly accepted that Trump is Teflon Don and that nothing seems to stick. What we're seeing right now is wholly different. This is what happened when Trump was confronted with questions about the group chat scandal that has enveloped this White House over the last 24 hours. I'm going to cover a raft of different moments from Trump's latest press conference. Here's the first.
Does the president also tell you that information was not classified?
Another question, please, go ahead.
Just following up on your comments.
First off, you know things are bad when Trump outright refuses to even take a question about who told him the information was not classified. And of course, that's because it was classified, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But let me just first say, right off the bat, that if Trump refuses to answer a question from a reporter, and you are another reporter in that room, and you get called on to throw Trump a life preserver, ask the same question. Don't let him get away with not answering. And if he bails on you, the next reporter should ask the same question, and then the next, and then the next. This is supposed to be the self-proclaimed most transparent administration in history. Make them prove it. Now, as for this idea that the information wasn't classified, which has become a common refrain for this administration, Trump again made that point here.
Are you going to change any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships, not only our ships, ships all over the world. They're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use.
Let me just say, if you believe that a pre-strike discussion of an imminent military operation isn't classified, then you are either too shameless of a liar to be in government or too stupid to be in government. But either way, not great. And don't just take my word for it. I spoke with the national security expert Ned Price about exactly this point. Here's what he had to say.
Brian, I think there are really two possibilities here, neither of them good. One is that they're lying. And I think that is probably most likely. They are lying. They knew this was classified, and they're trying to cover it up at this very moment. When you talk about pending military operations, tactics, techniques, and procedures, TTP as they're called, that is by definition classified information. So it is hard to imagine that the substance that they were communicating was not classified at the time. Now, the other possibility, and this is what they may be resting their case on, is a distortion of the most technicality there is, in that a senior U.S. government official, whether it's the president, vice president, in some cases the secretary of defense or CIA director, can retroactively declassify information. And so it may well be that they are saying now, after the fact that they know Jeffrey Goldberg was in there, we're going to go ahead and declassify this. They sort of waved their magic classification wand, declassified it. And so they're telling the American public, this is not classified. What they're not saying is that it should have been classified, and they're only declassifying it, if that's in fact what they are doing, to save their own skin.
In other words, when Trump tries to claim that this wasn't classified and so somehow that makes it all okay, he is lying because he is trying to protect not our national security, but his and his own team's asses. Then there was this moment where Trump was asked whether anyone would be fired over this reckless action.
He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job. In addition to him, we had very good people in that meeting, and those people have done a very, very effective job, and you're going to see it. And it goes on, by the way. It's going to go on. And I think the Houthis wish that it didn't happen, but that's what it's all about. We have to create a safe country, a safe world, and that's what we're doing.
Yep. Nothing but praise for the team of people who are so incompetent, so reckless, that they invited into their war planning a reporter A reporter who was patriotic enough to safeguard the information, but what if it was a foreign reporter? What if it was a foreign official? What if, because of their recklessness that they've already broadcast, their devices are already compromised? Steve Witkoff was in Russia when the group chat was first created. He was in that group chat. What if he joined a Wi-Fi network that allowed the Kremlin to hack his device? What if there are other signal groups that Russia or China or North Korea have already gotten access to? And yet Trump's response to all of this is that his team is great, they're perfect, gold stars all around. I legitimately don't know what's worse, having the worst people surround you and not knowing how incompetent they are, or having the worst people surround you and seeing how incompetent they are and yet opting to do nothing. And then, of course, the usual deflection by Trump.
People do get on those lines, whether it's Signal or anything else. Yeah.
Are you going to change any procedures as a result of this?
Well, I mean, look, we look at everything, and they've made a big deal out of this because we've had 2 perfect months. We are bringing in business. We have another one announced tomorrow, a big one, very big. Like in the history of our country, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I think probably a lot of people are saying they started by saying it was the greatest first month that a president has ever had, and I think that's true. And now they say it's the best second month, and they had to find something. And this certainly will look at this, but the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified information. So this was not classified. Now, if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different.
They've made a big deal of this because we've had 2 perfect months. First of all, the stock market's crashed, the economic outlook is that a recession is likely, costs are surging, 401ks are in the toilet, consumer confidence is down, eggs are unaffordable if they're even on the shelves. I don't exactly think the Democrats needed to cook up some big scandal when Trump's own actions have already flipped his approval rating into negative territory, and broad swaths of the country who voted for him and his party have since soured on the GOP. But second of all, the Democrats are making a big deal of this because it's a big deal. Because if the people at the highest levels of government are conducting mission planning on unsecured group threads, then that means that our enemies might know exactly what we're doing. They might have already infiltrated the US government. And don't take my word for it, take it from the entire fucking Republican Party who spent the better part of the last decade railing against Hillary Clinton for an unsecured email server, and hers didn't even include classified information, unlike this scenario that we're in right now.
If there was anyone other than Hillary Clinton, they would be in jail right now.
Nobody is above the law, not even Hillary Clinton, even though she thinks she is.
Mishandling classified information is still a violation of the Espionage Act.
When you have the Clinton emails, on top of the fact that the sitting president of the United States admitted he had documents in his garage. They didn't prosecute, they didn't go after these folks.
Weird how they were so quick to condemn that problem, but only when the perpetrator had a D next to her name. Guess it wasn't really about Hillary's emails after all, but rather just Hillary herself. Interesting, huh? And then, of course, there was this excuse.
You can even prepare for it. It can happen. Sometimes people are hooked in, and you don't know they're hooked in. They're hooked into your line, and they don't even mean bad by it. But it's not a perfect technology. There is no perfect technology. The really good ones are very cumbersome, very hard to access. And I think we're going to look at, we always want to use the best technology. This was the best technology for the moment. But again, it wasn't classified, so they probably viewed it as being something that wasn't that important. And it obviously, with the attack being, I mean, I don't know if it's been read out to you yet, but that attack was a tremendous success for the U.S., a tremendous success.
I'm sorry. The best technology we have to communicate in a secure fashion is Signal? Are you kidding me? Again, not sure what's worse, the notion that Trump actually believes the bullshit that he's spewing, or that he doesn't and is purposefully pretending that he does. Here again is Ned Price offering up the reality of the situation in stark contrast to the lies that Trump is peddling.
In every administration in which I've worked, in every administration over the past 60 plus years, those discussions have taken place in one place, and that's the White House Situation Room for very good reason, because these are held at a top secret level. If people aren't able to be there in person, let's say the Secretary of State is traveling around the world, perfectly understandable and in fact encouraged. That person has a team that goes ahead and they set up a top secret tent in the Secretary's hotel room, and the Secretary can beam in into the Situation Room on that top secret basis. The fact that this group thought that Signal, a commercial application, was an appropriate substitute, it's really just staggering. There is no other way to describe it. Signal and its brethren have been the subject of nation states that have attempted to hack them, and in some cases have hacked them, but also private sector entities that have similar capabilities. And when you think about this collection of people, the Vice President of the United States, the CIA Director, the Secretary of State, there is no more valuable set of intelligence targets than the individuals who were in this single Signal chat room. So you can imagine if an intelligence service stumbled upon this chat room, they would consider it to be a gold mine.
And look, we could go on, but the point here is clear. Donald Trump will not take this seriously because his ego can't afford the hit of having to fire somebody in his perfect administration. And so as a result, these clowns who have already made us collectively less safe will continue to serve in their positions, even if doing so means that the Russians or the Chinese or the North Koreans have already infiltrated the highest levels of our government. But hey, this isn't about keeping us safe, and it never was. It isn't about hiring the best people, and it never was. It was always about finding those who would be most morally flexible, that they would be able to stomach undermining our own democracy on Donald Trump's behalf. And he succeeded in finding those people. The fact that we're all collectively less safe is a consequence of exactly that, but clearly one that Trump was willing to accept, because again, Trump's presidency isn't about Americans, it is about Donald Trump. Before you go, first, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we're now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they're willing to cater to this White House. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a great way for me to be able to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's completely free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support my work. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.